Welcome to Books on Air, the podcast that tells the story behind the book. It includes insights from authors about how they compose their work, what inspires them, and what they hope you'll take away from their book. Here's your host for this episode of Books on Air, Suzanne Harris.
Welcome to the Books on Air podcast. I'm Sloan Fremont, filling in for Suzanne Harris. This is a podcast where listeners get the secret story behind every book. Joining me today is KC LaSaga, author of the book Dragum. This novel tells the story of a nomadic Kali Colombe who falls into a relationship which is disapproved by her parents and brings a halt to her Parisian travel plans. In search of home, Kali purchases an impressionable condo and settles into adulthood with her newfound love. Tables turn when Kali is consumed by the needs of others and is forced to fight and find a home in a world that has placed her in a box. An amazing story, it sounds like. So, Casey, welcome to the Books on Air podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's start out by telling the audience a little bit about yourself and what led you to write your book.
Okay, well, I grew up in a small town in Newfoundland, and I was eager to go explore the city of Vancouver specifically. So I came over to Vancouver and hit the ground running as a young adult, diving into responsibilities and taking care of myself. And I just sort of fell into a little bit of a web of, how would I word this? I basically started writing the book because I just fell into depression. I was away from home, and I didn't have any support systems, or at least any strong support systems. And I just didn't have anything to lean on or anyone to lean on. So this book really derived from that, from me writing a lot to deal with my emotions. I started a blog called 20s on Trial. And that was basically me just talking about like my experiences as a 20-something and all like the trials and tribulations of owning property in Vancouver, trying to make a career in the film industry, not having any successful romantic relationships, and just feeling like I was getting nowhere. So this book came from me struggling in my 20s.
Yeah, I think that's so relatable. I mean, I think, we've all been through that. But being able to tell your story or tell a story, write the book, was that, did that help you through that, to be able to work through some of the things that you were experiencing and be able to tell the story?
I think so. By writing the book, I feel like I really got to see from like an outside perspective, how some friends that I did have wanted to just shake me and be like, why do you keep repeating the same mistakes? Because I just was a creature of habit, and I kept doing the same thing, expecting a different outcome, which is like the definition of insanity.
Right.
And it took a lot of personal growth and a lot of exterior support through like counselors and therapists to really help pull me out of like this cycle I had been in, to finally start like getting out of the depression I had been living in for years, and see the silver lining in everything I've gone through, by making something what I think is kind of beautiful out of it. Like this is my favorite story.
Yeah.
Like it's not your typical love story. I feel like it's like a love story with oneself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. Okay. So let's get into that a little bit. Can you set the scene for us, and tell us where the book takes place?
So the book starts in Vancouver. Kali Colombe is all alone in her apartment, and she's not feeling too good about herself. She's really wanting to go travel the world. She feels like she's not making any of the connections she had hoped for, moving to the big city. And she really doesn't want to go back to Newfoundland, even though her family has been kind of pressuring her to return home so she can like be taken care of and pampered. And she's just tired of being cocooned and coddled as the youngest in her family. And she basically decides to just go out one night. She meets someone online, and they make plans to go to this event called risqué. And she ends up meeting a very attractive lesbian who she cannot take her eyes off of, and she falls in love at first sight. And it almost feels like what has become now a Dragum night. So in Dragum is the intuition that's pulling Kali to just do these things that she wouldn't normally do in her regular, like when she's sitting in herself, she wouldn't normally do these things. But Dragum is the greater power that makes her intuition just like go on fire, because she can't help but engage. So Dragum is pulling her around, and she can't help but be attracted to this one woman in risqué. So that's kind of the start of it all, where there's this very passionate connection between the two. And some people have been misled to think that the book is about a lesbian relationship, but it's more about a queer woman just navigating her world, where like there's all these social constructs defining her and what she should be and where she should be, like buying and purchasing a condo instead of traveling around the world like a nomad. So she's just kind of lost. She wants to go travel, but she also wants to find home. So she's conflicted because she can't figure out what it is she wants. Like she wants to feel like she has a safe place, yet she doesn't want to be rooted anywhere.
Right.
So
oh, that's so relatable. I can tell you, I felt like that many times in my life. I like what you said, how the book is like about a love relationship with ourselves, with oneself. Right. And really understanding that, because that is something that is so underestimated. That's not maybe the right word, but it's something that we are with ourselves 24/7, all of our lives. Right. And if that is if that relationship isn't good, if it's, like, I think most of us like, there's a lot of effort that needs to be put in place to have that relationship with yourself be a place of safety, or be a place of, that you feel like that you can go. And, I can, when you're saying about her feeling like wanting to go, but then also wanting to find that security of home, I can totally relate to that and feeling that. And I think most of the listeners can too, because that is, that's like the human, like the dichotomy of being a human, right? Like I want to, on the one hand, I want this, but on the other hand, I want that. So I think that's so relatable.
Yeah. The book really is about Kali, gaining what she needs within herself. So like she has all these people reaching out wanting to help her, but that's not what she needs. Like that's not what her life journey is about, or how she needs to grow. So even her parents are reaching out and trying to save her, but I think a message I really want to portray with the book is sometimes we all just have to go through the process and trust the process, that we're all taking this journey, even if it's rough and it's challenging, that it's going to make us stronger in the end, and that it's giving us skills and knowledge that will help our future selves. Because
it's a great
sometimes
message.
Because people, like, especially even like people who are elderly, but just like our elders, they want to protect and coddle you because they see you as this precious baby that like no harm should be done to. But sometimes the best way to learn something is to experience it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that is life, right? Life is meant to be experienced, not to be kept in the nest, protected, and, with the, not to be able to experience it. Can you tell us about a favorite scene that you wrote about in your book?
Well, that's really difficult to answer. There's so many that stand out specifically. Like there's different scenes, like some scenes are my favorite for specific reasons, but I think one that stands out the most to me, or the one that I would really like to talk about, is one that a lot of people have asked me about. So a lot of people have asked me, like, what happened to Kali's parents? Kali's parents came to visit, but what happened to them? I wrote a scene that blends with Kali's parents visiting her in Vancouver, and it blends into a nightmare where she's going through a tunnel and the walls of the tunnel are closing in on her. And just to protect the identity and bring some softness to the situation of a lot of this being based on a true story, I wanted to bring more of a fantasy element to the parents' visit, to kind of give a little bit of leave a window for imagination for the reader on what happened. So it's up for interpretation, but I just wanted to capture the sensation of feeling trapped and claustrophobic and losing like breath, like just wanting to fold into yourself, and you're just losing everything you have until you're just in the dark in this corner of this caved tunnel. And that's kind of like a heightened point in the book where Kali is probably at her worst. And you're building up to this climax. And I feel like that's something I would like to talk about, just because so many people have asked me about the parents. And I feel like, even though, like, I'm not giving any spoiler alerts, I don't think, because I think when you're reading it, there's definitely way more to it. There's definitely more layers to what's going on than what I'm saying right now. But it's more of a metaphor of what's happening in real life. Yes. And a lot of the book, her reality and her alter reality are blending. So she can't tell the difference of what's happening to her or what she's imagining anymore, because her nightmares are starting to transition into her waking life. So she's waking up to a nightmare now, and she can't figure out what to believe or who to believe, or if anything is even happening. And there's a part in the book that it begins to become a flow where Kali's subconscious is talking to her. So reading the book, you'll notice there's a difference of font. So in the italic font, you'll notice Kali's subconscious. It's like, I see you, but why are you not paying attention to your Dragum? Like, listen to your intuition. You know the difference.
Right.
But the difference is Kali still needs to go through this journey to become the woman she's supposed, like, meant to be.
Yeah. That, I mean, listening to you talk about it, I'm imagining this, and it's so, and so you also mentioned about, so parts of the book are based on a true story. Is that? Yeah.
So it is based on my true story. I've definitely elaborated some things, and I've changed timelines to things. And I definitely have added elements into it to make it flow better, just for entertainment value.
Right.
But a scene that really sticks out to me is Kali waking up from a nightmare and realizing that she is walking on a floor of maggots. And that is a real story. That really happened. And I think the beauty in this scene is showing the reality of how bad depression can get.
Yeah.
And it's beyond being sad. It's not taking out the garbage and not caring about the environment you're living in.
Yeah.
And just bringing awareness to mental health and how easily someone who could have so many ambitions to go travel the world can easily fall into a web once they stop losing, they start losing their intuition and start questioning their own internal beliefs or internal intuition because other people are planting seeds in their head to say, why don't you do this? Why are you doing that? Why can't you do this? You should do that. And I think it's I never thought that it was something that could happen to me to that extent.
Right. Yeah. And I think what you're, being able to share your experience, and also in a way that is, like I said, relatable, but also that core message of being able to share a story and show in a character the things that you went through. And obviously we write about what we know about, right? So and anybody who's experienced that can relate, right? Because it may not happen exactly in that same way, but those feelings, how that feels, and that sucking you in, and that obviously I speak from experience as well. So I know what you're talking about. So I think that it's so having being able to tell a story in a way that is that's true, that has some factual thing, right, that you experienced, and put that in a character, and then be able to take the character and do all kinds of different things with her and elaborate or change. And like you were talking about with the scene in the tunnel, where you gave the reader then the opportunity they get to then decide, they can use their imagination, right? And those to me always make the best stories.
Yeah, it's really a lot. There's a lot where I think, like, I've had people read the book, and the feedback I've gained from it is that they really liked it. Although my dad really wanted to read the book, and because it is like, there is a lesbian relationship in the book. He couldn't get past chapter 7. Because of a sex scene. And there's also, which I've had like other like friends who are in the LGBT community who said that when they read sex scenes sometimes in books, it can be kind of cringy, but that they really enjoyed it in this book because it was real. It wasn't whatever fictitious imagination that people make. Like, it was real. It was like not enhanced or
for like Hollywood style production, right? Yeah, there's a big difference between real and what you see in movies, right? And everyone knows that. So it's been kind of cool. Like, I never thought I'd be someone writing like a sex scene, but there's a few of them in there, and I don't mind them. Like, I wasn't sure how I would feel about like publishing a book with sex scenes in it, but I think that's life, and that's and I bet it's freeing to be able to do that, because you took a challenge and you did it, right? And you got positive feedback from it, and it was something maybe you didn't see yourself doing, but you did it. And it's what you talked about, is the character being able to get out there and experience things and grow and do things in life, right? And not stay under the wing protected, right? You took a chance, you took a risk. And again, I think that's what life is about, because once we start doing that and we start taking those types of things, or do things out of our comfort zone, then we're more comfortable to do it again and again and again. And that to me is how you grow, how we grow, how we get, I always say how we get to those things that we say we want, right? Because we have to do things that sometimes are uncomfortable. So I know we're coming up on time here, so I'll just ask a couple more questions. Who would you say your book would appeal to and why?
I would say it would appeal probably to the LGBT community the most. But I think anybody who's gone through like a mental health, like not even like just anybody who experiences complications with mental health, or anybody who has had family dysfunction where they're not feeling heard by their parents, or even friends, and Kali has really complicated relationships in general with everybody in this book. She's just trying to navigate them where everybody seems to think they know what's best for her because she is made to believe that she's very naive and needs to be taken care of. So anybody who feels they haven't been given the room to like stretch their wings and like just be who they are. I would say anybody just looking to find themselves could gain something by reading this book.
Yeah, amazing. And what do you want the readers to take away after reading your book?
I think I would love the readers to be able to take away like a greater sense of self. And by the end of the book, feel like if they've seen themselves in Kali's shoes in the past or currently, that they grew with her, or they can see their own growth has happened already through Kali's growth and be like, wow, like I did grow, like I got through that. Like I did that. Like I would love that readers could acknowledge that they are making progress, or if they are in like a rut right now, that they can see that there is a way out, and they can just start trusting their intuition.
Yeah, I love that. That's I think one of the keys to life. So KC, I want to thank you for joining us this week. My guest has been KC LaSaga, author of the book Dragum. You can find more about the book Dragum on Amazon, and I'll link to the book in the show notes, so be sure to check that out. You've been listening to the Books on Air podcast, brought to you on webtalkradio.net. You can also hear this podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts. I'm Sloan Fremont, and I hope you'll join us for the next Books on Air podcast. Remember, you never know who's going to be here, and you never know what we're going to talk about. Thank you so much for listening.